What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back finally with F1 2017 career mode. This is season 2, round 2, the Chinese Grand Prix. First off, massive apologies about the lengthy break between episodes. I've been heavily distracted by many things lately. The AOR race for the esports. I've been quite sick lately. I've been doing a lot of things like behind the scenes as well, which has kind of taken time away from career mode. But now all of that stuff should, for the most part, be over and we can get back to normality. Now, for the Chinese Grand Prix, we went through all the practice programs. No need to show you that. We have a pretty sizable bank of resource points, which we are going to spend now. We're going to do an upgrade for the weight reduction, and we're also going to do a durability upgrade, more focusing on the gearbox. So I want to have a better, stronger gearbox that's more reliable over the course of the season. That's one of the more weaker areas for us in terms of getting grid penalties, so I thought I'd work on that now, and yeah, it'll help us overall in the long run. So that's the end of practice. Very quick, I know, but it's time now for qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix.
We'd like to welcome you from wherever in the world you join us today for this F1 qualifying session here in Shanghai, China.
Okay, so here we go, straight into things here in China, in qualifying. Hopefully we can pull out a really good result today and get ourselves into Q2 or maybe even Q3 once again. For this race weekend, we have upped the difficulty once again, previously from the last one. I'm just bumping it up ever so slightly just to get the balance right. Previously it was at like 105, just like it was at the end of season 1. Now it's at like 107, and I think as I progress through this season, it's just going to go up and up and up until we get to 110, which might be a round or two away. We'll have to wait and see. Opening lap though puts us P4, eventually drop down to P8 in Q1. So that's a pretty solid time. We're ahead of a few of the midfield runners, but it isn't quite safe enough for us to progress right to the end of the session. I was sitting very precariously near the danger zone in P14, so I decided to go for another lap on the super soft tyres, and we will see how we go. Just bear in mind, this race was done before the F1 esports race I did for AOR yesterday, which subsequently was at China as well. But yeah, I basically used this race as kind of a foundation for the strategy I was going to take into the video that you'll see possibly tomorrow or the next day. But either way, through qualifying now, we're going to improve by a tenth and a half as we go through the final corner. Very easy to run wide and get a track extending warning there. Thankfully enough for us though, we weren't penalised there. I don't feel like we gained any advantage there, and we just hold on to a spot inside the top 15, and that means we progress through to qualifying 2. You can see Fernando Alonso actually gets in a decent time then, only just behind us, and was very unlucky to miss out in the end. So that just reaffirms that from the previous round, Alonso was just very poor and didn't get the qualifying lap in Australia. This time he looks a lot closer to us in terms of raw pace. Qualifying 2 now, we're going out again, and to be honest, I'm actually hoping that I don't make it into qualifying 3 here. We saw in the previous episode how we got screwed over by the strategy by making it into the third part of qualifying and starting on a used set of the super soft compound tire. I think it was the ultra soft at the time, but yeah, either way, we don't want to be inside the top 10 today. I want to get as close to 11th place as what I can, so I can get the grid position, but also have free range in terms of the strategy. The delta that I need to kind of keep away from is 8.5 tenths. So if I can beat my previous lap by 8 tenths, which was set on a used set of super soft tyres, then we'll be golden. We're 3.5 tenths up, and that will continue to escalate as we go through the lap. The lap that I did at the start of the session was okay. It was really just a banker, just to get a time on the board. I always like to do at least 2 laps in a particular session. The banker one, of course, is where you just go safe, and then at the end of the session, that's where you go all guns blazing and trying to push the limits of everything, which we kind of overstepped the mark there into the hairpin. Lost about a tenth or 2 there, which is a little bit frustrating, but nothing we can do about it now. Final corner, managed to go through there fairly nicely, and we will improve by just under 7 tenths. So that is going to put us fairly close to 11th place, where we need to be. It is, in fact, 12th. And on the 6th row of the grid, starting alongside Esteban Ocon. I will certainly take that. I possibly could have made it into Q3 if I didn't make that mistake into the hairpin corner, the penultimate corner, and maybe maximised another corner here or there. We would have been into Q3. So the pace is there. but we certainly didn't want to be there. It would have hampered our race, just like we saw in Melbourne. So that's qualifying. It's time for the race now, where hopefully points are on the table.
A tough race in store then for our drivers today, so tell me, Anthony Davidson, what will you be looking out for as the cars make their way down into turn 1?
Well, first of all, let's hope that everyone's well behaved and we can have a nice incident-free start. That initial release is going to be the most interesting thing, and the clean side of the grid will be better rubbered in, so keep an eye out for cars over there potentially making their way through.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
It is time then for the Chinese Grand Prix. We're on the grid now, ready for the start of the race. And as you can see on the race strategy, looks like a one-stop is on the cards once again. It is only slightly faster than the two-stop, so it is going to be fairly tight in terms of which strategy is going to come out on top, especially for the guys who are starting inside the top 10 and you know, starting on their used super soft tyres. I think they might all have to revert to a two-stop. I don't know if their tyre wear will quite make it until lap 9 or 10, when we need to get to that golden pit window to make the one-stop viable. So this race is certainly going to be interesting, especially from a strategy standpoint. Hopefully we can at least topple a few guys inside the top 10 with the one-stop strategy we have up our sleeve. But it's now time for the 5 red lights to ignite, or go out, shall I say, and we'll get the race underway. What an intro that is. That is just something else, Ben. But either way, we range into turn 1. We've lost the position to... no, we actually held position. No, we got in front of Ocon. This has just been dreadful. Either way, we slide up the inside of a couple cars. I think it was Grosjean, Massa, and Perez. We get a bit of a touch-up back, though, as I think Grosjean was going side by side with one of the Williams. But either way, we're into 8th place now, and that was a very aggressive start from us. We really needed that because... we don't want to get stuck behind these guys on older tyres, a bit slower than us. So yeah, good to dispatch them early, and hopefully we can just check out from that midfield battle and continue to move forward and catch the guys up ahead, including Nico Hülkenberg. We're going to use the slipstream DRS. No, it's not open yet. 3 laps time. You can tell I'm rusty. It's only been a few days since I've commentated, and I've just like let everything go out the window. But either way, we're going to go up the inside of Hülkenberg. It looks like he wasn't running in rich revs on that opening lap, so we certainly make the most of that. That's P7. Next up is Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull. And in all honesty, I think we'd be very lucky to get anything higher than this position, at least in this stint. The guys in front, at least the top 6, they're so fast. They're so consistent as well. The top 3 teams are just like in another league in terms of car performance. So to be ahead of everyone else, you know, I'll certainly take that. We'll need the strategy advantage to topple the rest of the guys, that is for sure. So it's now down to us just to, you know, keep pressing on, doing the best we can. Esteban Ocon is out of the Grand Prix, which is quite interesting. Bottas is in very early, so for sure he's not doing a one-stop. He's going to be at least doing a two-stop. A lot of the guys around us as well diving in at this early stage to get some fresh rubber on the car. So now is our time to shine. Continue to be consistent on these super soft tyres if we can. I think that's Bottas right behind us. Closing us in very, very rapidly. He might go for a little look up the inside here into the left-hander. We'll certainly let him go if we can, but it takes him a little while to get the move done. So a little bit of unnecessarily squabbling. This isn't exactly what I want for my race strategy. I'm just trying to do the best job I can. You can see like the amount of understeer I got through the second snail section there was outrageous. I was used to, you know, running my own race and then coming up against the Mercedes. You just see how much faster they are in the corners, especially when they've got brand new rubber on their car. But either way, we made it to lap 10, which is, you know, quite extraordinary for the super soft tyre, and I think they're at the best part of 60% tyre wear, not too far away from getting a puncture. So we'll be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. We have extended the pit stop window by a lap. And that's just to make sure that I could get to the end. I wasn't sure how the mediums were going to fare in this second stint, so I thought I'd go just a little bit longer and just really consolidate the position, or at least the strategy that we're going to be on for the second half of this race. And it looks like someone else is on a very similar strategy to me. Is that Grosjean or Magnussen? It's at least one of the Haas's, but either way, we will be scrapping away with them for the rest of this race. The Haas, like I said, is always a dark horse in this series. Very similar pace to us, but they always seem to do a lot better than some of the bigger midfield teams. Sebastian Vettel is out of the Grand Prix now on lap 12. Must be an engine failure, and no safety car as of yet has been called, so that is a free position for us. So we could potentially get P5 if we beat everyone else in terms of the midfield runners. Possibly more if more people either retire or have some bad luck themselves. But lap 13, we can see a lot of cars now peeling in for their final stop of the race. We've really just been running our own race, just trying to, you know, keep it clean, keep away from battles, and for the most part it seems to be working. We got a message from Jeff there saying the engine is past its best and there's a little bit of a performance drop, which we noticed there by going above 50% in terms of the internal combustion engine. So yeah, for the rest of this race we're going to have to nurse this power unit, which was to be expected. We've already done what, 2 races now with this power unit, including practice and quali as well, so it's done a lot of mileage, and this McLaren Honda does not fare well in terms of durability in miles, that's for sure, especially compared to other teams.
Our gap to our teammate is 30.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. The time last lap was a 1 minute 38.3.
Just checking up on Fernando. It looks like he's having a bit of a shocker of a race. He's a long way behind, but yeah, like I said, the McLaren Honda by far does the worst in terms of mileage for their components, and we're really starting to feel that now, just 2 races into this power unit. We are really struggling, but one thing we're not struggling for is track position. It's P5 now as everyone else makes their stops, so this is going to be the maximum we can get out of this Grand Prix unless there is more failures or more pit stops to come from the drivers up ahead for the remaining 8 laps of this Grand Prix. So yeah, we're going to do the best we can. Bottas 20 seconds up the road, we won't be seeing him again. Just about 20 seconds ago we saw Daniel Ricciardo as well making his final stop, and he's going to be the guy who is going to be putting us under the most pressure for the final 7 laps of this Grand Prix. Magnussen, he's going to be pretty threatening as well, but not as much as the Red Bull driver. So we're going to do the best job we can. We are running a low downforce setup, which makes us very slippery in a straight line, very comparable as well to other teams, and that's why we were able to overtake Hulkenberg on the first lap with such ease. And when it comes to defending position, the low downforce really does help us out here. But yeah, we carry on to the next lap, and Ricciardo was really putting on the pressure to Kevin Magnussen here, and it doesn't take him very long at all to draw alongside and overtake him under brakes into the penultimate corner, and that is job done for him into P6, I believe. So yeah, we've got a tough time of things here now. 5 laps to go. Daniel Ricciardo is on fresh soft compound tyres. We're on the older mediums, and the pace difference is really going to be something else. So we're going to do the best job we can. We're going to break the slipstream and make sure he doesn't get any kind of advantage on us in a straight line. Isn't quite close enough into the braking zone, so we hold on for now. He's going to be more threatening though into the middle sector, possibly like turn 4 might be the area to watch. But Daniel gets a much better run out of the final Snell section, and he's just too close. He's too close to defend against. He goes to the outside. There's nothing we can really do here. We'll go late under brakes if we can, just to counter-attack that move, which we do manage to do. He's on the outside though, and with fresher tyres, you just can't compete with that. You've just got to applaud the overtake from Ricciardo there. Does me around the outside into a slow speed corner, and that is the last time we'll possibly see him, unless we can dive him up the inside into turn number 2 here. Doesn't quite work out. It's always a desperado kind of move there. Unfortunately, we just weren't close enough, and Ricciardo gets away. Lap 26, Kevin Magnussen putting on pressure once again as he starts to find his feet after getting overtaken by Ricciardo himself. But he just doesn't seem to have that much of an advantage over us in the corners, nor in a straight line either. So it seems to be a little bit of a stalemate at this stage. We're trying to save fuel through the middle sector and slow speed corners, and then just running rich revs on every straight. Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix though, a few seconds in the end over the Ferraris of Vettel and then Raikkonen, I believe, in 3rd place. But for us though, it looks like it's going to be P6 as long as we can hold onto this position. We're going defensive once again, just to break the slipstream, and then returning back to the racing line. It looks like Magnussen is very close into the braking zone, not quite close enough, and I think that is going to be position number 7 for him today. But here we go, through the final corner. This is the position we should have got in the Australian Grand Prix if all things stayed the same, but we finally get some retribution. 6th place, and that's 8 points.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
So it's a victory then for Lewis Hamilton after pretty disappointing retirement in Australia. He gets his first points on the board and buys his way into the championship. For us though, really good race, really productive. 6th place, the kind of showing that we should have put in at the Australian Grand Prix. Just the strategy wasn't quite there to deliver us a good result. But yeah, there we go. That's our first, really good result that has come in kind of a natural kind of race. We didn't have to rely on a crazy strategy or a safety car or lots of people crashing out. We actually got there on merit, which is, really good to see. Season 2, like I said, plenty of times in the first episode, this is the season where we can show our, potential and show the kind of growth we've already exuded so far, or like worked towards over the last, 20 episodes of this career mode series. But with that good result, we go into 8th place in the drivers' standings, not too far away from possibly a top 6 spots. That might potentially be the target for this season. Daniel Ricciardo getting off to a slow start. He might be pretty vulnerable in this season if we can continue the consistent results. The Constructors looks even better though. 5th place, and it's very tight in the midfield. Force India, Williams, Toro Rosso, and Haas. Any one of those drivers could get inside the top 5, and that will ultimately be, chopping and changing every single Grand Prix depending on how the results go. We need Fernando though to up his game a little bit. He just gets really bad qualifying positions, and then it's really hard for him to make his way forward, especially with the straight line speed that he has. But that's been this Grand Prix for today. As you saw at the end of the race and just in the little graphic there, our power unit is not faring that great, so we're going to have to allocate some resource points to that over the course of this season. We're not going to have the luxury of just swapping in new engines every Grand Prix and just, not really taking much penalty for it, because we're qualifying a lot better now. We're qualifying towards like the top 10, and taking a grid penalty and dropping, half your grid position, that's going to be a big costly component for this season. So in a way, we need to work on some durability. So we'll certainly do that. We've already worked on the gearbox. We might do some ICE stuff in the next few rounds, but initially I want to do some downforce upgrades, which I haven't even touched over the course of this 20 or 21 episode career mode. So yeah, downforce needs some work because we really struggle in high-speed circuits. So like the change of direction, isn't the best, and yeah, we just lose out to the top teams whenever I race alongside those guys in high-speed corners. But that's been this episode for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and see plenty more F1 2017 videos. As always, let me know where I should continue the development. I will always take your feedback on board. And yeah, on to the next race, the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's probably going to be a tough race given the nature of the circuit, a power track, but we do have some upgrades heading our way in the form of a durability upgrade to the gearbox, weight reduction as well, and we'll chuck in a fresh power unit as well to make things a little bit more lively. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.
Hi, how are you today? The improved package has arrived. We're having it fitted in time for FP1. Have a look at the factory report.